My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beautiful Lord Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Sai Ram to all. To continue the previous episode, I would like to share some more about the old Prasanthi Nilayam. In those days, it is not like how it is now. And I told you about Dasra and all the festivals where Swami himself gave the prasadam. Swami would also very often give Vibhuti prasadam to all the people lined up. The people would sit in rows facing each other, and Swami would walk in between and give a few packets of Vibhuti. While Swami was doing that, we had the chance to touch his lotus feet. After the Dasra festival was over, when thousands of people had come for the function, Swami would have it announced that after the Padnamskar and the Vibhuti that Swami distributed the next day of Dasra, because that Vibhuti Abhishekam would take place and all the Vibhuti that was poured on the statue of Shirdi Baba. The devotees who have seen Shirdi Baba's this Vibhuti Abhishekam by Swami in the earlier days all know that this Vibhuti would be packed into small packets, and the kumkum from the Dasra festival would also be packed, and this would be given as prasadam to all the devotees who came after the function. And then Swami would make everybody line up, and he would give Padamskar and this Vibhuti to the ladies' side, and then later on to the gents' side. And he would announce that all those who had urgent work to do, they could leave, and Swami's blessings are there with us. And then here there would be an announcement that from the next day, Swami would start seeing all the people who had come for the Dasra. And he would say the first the handicapped and the sick and the people with all kinds of serious problems would be first seen, and afterwards Swami would see the rest of the people. So these interviews would start. Swami would call like 4 or 5 times in the morning. People, big crowds of people would get interview in one day. Like, he would take 10, 20 people the first time. Then again, he would come out and select another 20, 30. And this went on till the bhajans. And in those days, the bhajans used to be at 11. It continued for till about 12 o'clock. And the same thing in the afternoon when Swami came at 3 o'clock after darshan, he would still continue to call more and more people for the interviews. And then once the sick and the handicapped and were attended to, Swami would start calling the regular devotees. Nobody in those days ever went home without getting an interview. We were so blessed that all the people who came would have had at least one interview when they visited Puttaparthi. Many would be fortunate to get 3, 4 interviews in a few days. Hardly anybody left without an interview. These were those blessed days when Swami was so available and so freely mingled with the devotees. In those days, the small rooms that were allotted before the East and West Prashantis and all came up, Swami had given instruction that this was a ashram life. People were not to have too many material belongings, just a few clothes, like 3 or 4 pairs of clothes, 2, 3 vessels to cook food, a mat and a pillow to sleep on the floor and all that. And in those beautiful days, Swami would walk into any of these little settlements, and he would look at the food that was on the stove, partake of it, sit and talk to them. Swami was so free in those days. The devotees had beautiful darshan. It was almost like Swami was a family member. He came in, did whatever he wanted, teased them, made fun of them, created stuff for them. It was very beautiful, intimate days. And then when these new blocks were built, Swami told the devotees that who were getting all these rooms, he said, before you had very little in your rooms. It was a very difficult ashram life. Now Swami is giving you all conveniences. Soon you will have ACs and refrigerators and cooking gas and cots and mattresses and everything. but you will find that Swami is not available. Swami is not going to come running into your rooms like before. Every convenience is given, all worldly things are given, and then Swami will be far away from you all. And this is exactly what happened. People were given every modern conveniences in the ashram. The ashram started bakeries and more canteens and coffee spots, where you can have instant coffee, soups, all kinds of snacks. Everything is now provided in the ashram. But where is our beloved Swami to be seen? Slowly, slowly he withdrew. The interviews became less and less. And in the 80s and 90s, the Sevadal's movement started in the early 70s. We students were the first ones to be given Sevadal scarves. Swami had made an orange scarf and medallion to hold it together, which had the Sarvamata symbol on it. I still have mine even to this day. And then Swami started the training program for men and women Sevadals, and they were given a different kind of scarves, which you can still see it even today. So all the lines, the restrictions, the token lines, everything started in the late 70s. And of course, the sands also were replaced with Kadapa stones first, and then later on it was again renovated. And then, people in those days slept wherever they were huddled up as a family. They would be cooking, and Swami would come out and they would sit there and have darshan, or some of them would run to the front to be closer to Swami when he's walking by. And they slept under the stars. Like I told before, they went to the Chitravati for their bath. It was very simple life. Just one canteen was there, and simple food was provided in the canteen. Vegetarian food, rice, sambar, rasam, chapati, lemon rice, very simple stuff like that. And there were a few shops outside the mandir, one or two shops which catered to the foreign devotees who used to come in those days. So there was one place that sold fresh fruit juice, and sandwiches. There were no pizzas or anything in those days, just sandwiches, cheese paratas and stuff like that. And there were a few small Kerala hotels which made idli, vada, doshas, which people could go quickly eat and come back. And there were also a few rooms behind these little hotels on the side of the road. This was the only accommodation outside. The rooms were like 10 rupees a night. Those rooms also didn't have any attached bathroom. And the rooms were so tiny, like when we came and we took a room to stay before the Prasanthi rooms were built. It was so tiny, there were hardly place for anybody to move. We were like sardines in a tin, all lying next to each other. But we didn't mind anything because we had such wonderful darshans. Swami gave interview, talked to us, cracked jokes, often gave something, prasadam. It was such a beautiful time that nobody can imagine that God came on earth, and he was so free with the devotees who gathered. I think most of the people in those days didn't even realize that this was God walking beside them, spending so much time with them. Later on, only when Swami became distant and he started, withdrawing from the crowds, there were fixed times for darshan. Swami just came out in the morning or bhajan time, and then in the evening. And in the last years, even those daily darshans were reduced. Nobody knew when Swami would come. Some days he never came at all. In 2010 and 2011, when he was getting ready for his departure, everything was reduced. And only now, when we look back over the last 50 years, we realize what a privilege it was to have so much darshans from Swami. And Swami has told, even the sages and the saints and all the devas wait for one darshan of Bhagwan, while You devotees get it so freely, so many times in a day. You don't realize the blessing that you have to be able to see me so often and so freely in your life. One day you will realize what is the blessing that you received from me. And he said, none of you deserved it. It was totally my grace. I hope you enjoyed this episode also. Many, many blessings from Swami. Sai Ram to all.